The Return of the Jedi. Return of the Jedi. Not the. This isn't the sequel trilogy. Original trilogy. Return of the Jedi. One of the greatest scenes ever. Jabba's palace. Jabba's sail barge. We're talking all about it. It's going to be a good time today on TRB. Welcome back, everybody. I'm John. Thank you so much for joining us. James and Lacey with me as always. Before we get going, a quick reminder. Today, around noontime East, we are opening up the signups for the Virtual Cantina. That's right. We're bringing back the virtual party. Next Thursday will be the virtual party, and the signups will start at noon. We'll put a link out on our Twitter account and our other social media accounts so that you can sign up and become part of the actual stream itself. But of course, if you don't want to be a part of that party, you can join in the live chat next week when that happens. But we hope you sign up and join us. It's going to be a good time. Cheers to you all. We'll see you next week. Lacey, are you excited that the Virtual Cantina is back?
Yeah, I love doing the Virtual Cantina. I love meeting new people and chatting with you guys. It's always super fun. I thought you were going to ask me, Lacey, are you excited for our discussion today? Because I always say this is my favorite scene in Star Wars.
Yeah, that's why I didn't ask you, because I knew. Then the Virtual Cantina, I wasn't sure. It's been a while.
It is my favorite virtual activity.
Yeah. Are you going to be bringing any specific cocktails to the Virtual Cantina?
I don't know yet. Maybe I'll make something special and put out a recipe beforehand.
Ooh, nice. I would like to try, you know what looks good? That the drink that Otili was serving in Solo. Looks very refreshing, that rosé wine.
It is a rosé. Definitely a rosé.
I'd like to try that. Let's drink two and see where it goes. James, we're doing some virtual cantina-ing. I believe that's the verb next week. Other than that, are you excited to talk about Jabba's palace and Jabba's the whole segment of Return of the Jedi? Because I believe that's your favorite original trilogy movie, right? Return of the Jedi.
Yes, yeah, it definitely is. And it's interesting now because I kind of was going back and kind of checking out a couple scenes and stuff. Not that I haven't, seen it, but it's interesting just how starkly different it is than say like Maz's castle, or something like that. It's like, just how you can almost kind of see the time period difference and stuff. So it's interesting.
Oh yeah. And, we have, no director. We don't do that a lot, really, with our discussions. We just kind of put the ideas out there and see what we come up with. But we can definitely dive into that aspect of, things that they threw in the special edition, what was good, what wasn't good. There's a lot to really get into. Like, it's the Star Wars scene that has, like, just so many just rich nooks and crannies. And, like, there's so much to dive into with Jabba's, that whole opening sequence of Return of the Jedi. So we're going to have fun with that. But we have other stuff to get into as well. Including Will of the Force, right, James? So why don't we take a journey with our friend Chirrut Imwe?
I fear nothing, for all this, as the Force wills it.
All right, guys. Will of the Force this week is going to be a lot of fun. But before we get into it, I do want to mention really quick that if you want to be part of Will of the Force, one of the things you can do is go over to patreon.com/resistance broadcast, where you can become one of our Resistance officers, an official patron of our podcast. As a thank you, we have a lot of benefits and perks and things like that you can do. And one of them is you can actually submit topics, and you'll see as we get into it that some of these topics have been submitted by Resistance officers. It's a good time. Come check us out. On our Patreon list, our highest rank is the Generals. We want to give a quick shout out to them. And those people are Carmelo, Andrew Staley, Jeremy Myers, Neil Shaw, David Probus, John Reese, Micah Harrison, Jetta Rosewater, Michael Gaines, Betta, Beer Fat Bethany. I don't know where that came from. Russ Harbison, Kendall Kellner, Paul Olson, Jake Houchins, Jeff Connery, Oliver Lewis, Dave Hornack, Frank Grande, and Val Trinchkov. Thank you, Generals, for being Generals, for being you. Yeah. This week, we're going to have a lot of fun. The first one, like I was just mentioning, is from a Resistance officer, Commander Hassan Aslam. Aslam. Is that how you say it? Do we ever sort that out? Islam? Okay. They wanted to know, will Obi-Wan visit Dagobah in the Obi-Wan Kenobi Disney Plus series. John, I'm going to start with you on this one. Any chance Obi-Wan would go to Dagobah?
I think so. I think they're going to recreate that in the volume and create the environment. And it would make sense. That's one interaction that would make a lot of sense for Obi-Wan to visit Yoda, because you can make that happen without disrupting a lot of the other continuities of the storytelling, because Yoda's there by himself in exile, and Obi-Wan's supposed to be in exile. And it's another way to get Yoda back and have Frank Oz involved in maybe a brief scene or something like that. And it did seem when they showed up in Empire Strikes Back that they had kind of been chatting leading up to that. I wasn't like, oh, hey, I haven't seen you in a while. How you been? What's going on? So that connectivity is there. So I think so, and maybe it's more so because I hope so, because I think it'd be pretty cool to see that, especially Ewan McGregor interacting with a puppet Yoda. I think it'd be cool.
Yeah, Lacey, what do you think? Any chance?
I think yes, they will. It seems like a really rich environment that they'll do in the volume. They already have the Yoda puppet from The Last Jedi, which they recreated from the original mold from The Empire Strikes Back. It ties in with the prequels, with Revenge of the Sith, where he tells him that he has been speaking to someone from the Force, his old master, which is Qui-Gon. So it makes sense that they would explain that, how he got to the point that he was able to become one with the Force through training with Yoda, because they've both, like John said, been in exile.
I think I'm going to stick to the letter here. Will he visit Dagobah? Because I think we're going to see Dagobah, but I don't know that he steps foot in person on the planet. And I think there's a little bit too much of the like not leaving Luke's side kind of thing. But I don't really know where this series is going to go, because I think a lot of the speculation is that he will be leaving the planet and going on adventure, So, but my gut says that if Obi-Wan and Yoda are communicating in any way, they can communicate through the Force, and he doesn't need to go there. But you're right, Lacey. It could be that he like needs to learn this more, so he goes and visits him and kind of learns the techniques that way. So that makes sense. Yeah. I'm going to say no, though, because I think he won't physically go to the planet.
Pie bet.
But here we go. You like that, John?
Pie bet.
Didn't you already lose a pie bet? What was the one that we recently did?
James lost a
it
pie
was
bet.
Luke showing up in live action before a book. So he'd be doubling down on the pie bet. 2 pies.
I'm just gonna collect pies and then hit James in the face at the next celebration or whenever we hang out next. Like the what would you do thing in Nickelodeon? Just bang,
the pie
bang,
chair?
bang. Yeah.
Pie coaster. Which one?
Yeah. I'll even hire Mark Summers to do it.
I'd take a pie from Mark Summers. Their pies were lame. They were just like
It was
tin
whipped
foil
cream.
with whipped cream.
And it was very like wet whipped cream. It wasn't even like thick, solid whipped cream.
Yeah. The next Will of the Force topic this week is this was a report going around, so let's tackle it here on Will of the Force. Thanks, John. Will Obi-Wan Kenobi appear in the Cassian Andor series? So Lacey, I'm going to jump back to you on this one. Now we just talked about him going to Dagobah, but is there any chance that Obi-Wan could potentially appear in Cassian Andor?
It's really funny. I feel like with the Marvel and Star Wars shows, we're constantly doing that thing where like, who's gonna show up? And it happened with WandaVision, and I'm using it because it's a recent thing that just came out, where it was every episode people were like, who's gonna show up? I don't think he will. No. Kenobi will not show up in the Cassian Andor series.
All right. John, are you on that same page?
Yeah, I don't think so either. I don't know. Did I do this in Rumor Theory review?
They mention him in Rogue One, and I think that's what you're going to get. That's it.
Yeah, right. I don't think so, just because of what's going on with... Maybe we talked about this on the pod or somewhere. I forget where, but they're filming Cassian over in Europe, and that's filming right now, and he's training, and he's going to be filming in LA, and it just doesn't make a lot of sense either for him to show up there, in my opinion, because Obi-Wan having the series alone is a little bit of a stretch from what he's supposed to be doing as a character. If he starts mingling and popping up with all these rebel people before re-entering the fight with the rebels via Leia's begging is really weird. That would be really weird. So yeah, I'm giving that a big no. I don't, and no offense, I don't know I forget where that originated, this report, but I'm giving that a big no.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I don't think that's gonna happen. I think, if we were talking Ahsoka, I think that's the more likely character that could show up in a couple of these series. Obi-Wan's pretty far for Ahsoka age-wise, though, but Cassian Andor makes a lot more sense. But the Obi-Wan crossing over to Cassian doesn't really make much sense storyline-wise, or as John was just alluding to right there, production-wise either. So I'm going to go with a no on this one. That doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. The next one we got here is from Commander Aaron Leach. Aaron had a pretty good question. He wanted to know, will Disney ever open an attraction that could allow visitors to see set pieces and props from the Disney era films? John, I'm going to start back with you on this one because I always like to hear Lacey's answer, so we'll save her.
So you don't like to hear my answers? The heck, man?
No, not on props and set pieces at Disney.
Well, anyone who listens to the pod knows my feelings about this. I hope so. I think I would much rather have had the Star Wars parks not be a canon thing. I would have had way more fun visiting Jabba's palace or going to the Carbon Freeze chamber in The Empire Strikes Back, or the the Wookiee planet Kashyyyk or Endor, like all these Tatooine, Lars Homestead. Like, I would have loved to have been there, kind of like the Harry Potter thing. So I hope they do something like this. I know, Bob Chapek, big theme park guy. They are already talking about expanding Star Wars attractions at the theme parks. I hope they say, here's your canon thing with Batuu, but now if you want to visit Star Wars locations, you go over here and do that. And I'd probably go there first, honestly. So I hope so. So I would say they will, as a hopeful thing.
They will. Lacey, what do you think?
This is an interesting question, Aaron, only because that kind of already exists with Launch Bay. Like, you go through Launch Bay and it has all the stuff, and they switch those out all the time. They had Solo there recently. So
that was what I was going to bring up.
I think it already exists. As for full sets that you could stand in and take pictures with, like something they have at Celebration, people recreate the trash compactor and all that other stuff. Yeah, I could totally see them doing that. They used to do it for Star Wars weekends. They do it every once in a while at the Disney parks for Star Wars nights. As for a more standard thing, I could see them doing it, but right now, I don't know. I think you already have it with Launch Bay and with the Star Wars nights when they bring out those big sets that you can take pictures on. That's kind of why you pay the extra $1 to not only get into the park for those specific nights, but for those other engaging pieces that put you in the movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Lacey said exactly what I was going to say with the Launch Bay thing, because I think to me, when I went there, there's a lot of props from the old movies, but they definitely they had a Solo thing when I was there, which was really cool, and they had
Rogue One.
all the ships and stuff from Solo, and then they also they do stuff that you wouldn't even expect. There's a live action Sabine Wren Mandalorian helmet in there, fully done and everything, and it's that's not even a thing, but it's they created it for Rebels fans, and now it's a live action helmet, and it's sitting there and you can look at it, and there's just lightsabers and other props and stuff that go into these different characters and stuff that definitely are involved in the sequel.
It's basically
trilogy,
what you walk through prior to the character meet and greets, and then prior to that, or after that, comes the gift store, of course.
Well, they had
yeah.
Oh yeah, they have Rey's Jakku speeder, I think, there too. I could be wrong on
That's
that,
outside currently in Disneyland. They have one outside the new trading post that they put in downtown Disneyland. They put that there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And you could
like,
drive it around
popsicle
too.
bike.
You can actually use it as an Uber and
The
pick
fudge
people up
stick.
and give them rides.
You cannot drive it around. It literally has signs on it that say, "Please don't touch."
Please don't drive around like an Uber. All right, we got one more question here, and it's: will we ever see 3 or more live-action Star Wars Disney Plus seasons air on in the same year? So yeah, kind of a confusing thing the way I read that, but yeah, any chance we're gonna see 3 or more live-action Star Wars Disney Plus series? What do you think, John? No, or Lacey? Sorry.
I'm gonna say yes, we will. There's 4 quarters in a year. They have to report back numbers each quarter. So why wouldn't you put out a Star Wars show every quarter to see how well each one does? They've also recently said that they're making 100 series a year. They're trying to build up to that. So why not bank on the property that makes them a ton of money, which is Star Wars? So I'm going to say yes, they will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just to double down on that really quick, like that was one of the things I thought of immediately when I read this question is they said they were going to do 100 a year. So I was like, yeah, the range of 3, 4, 5, somewhere in that is very likely. So yes, I am also going to say that we're going to be getting a lot more Star Wars content here in the next few years. It might even be the new precedent above movies and film, but who knows? John, what do you think?
The first person I saw talking about it was John. I will give him credit for that. The 100 series a year. 100 series a year, you were the first person online talking about that. Everyone else was talking about Kathleen Kennedy. You were talking about 100 series a year.
Want that Solo series. I'm really hungry for that.
Hey, I got the shirt on.
Nice. It's a good shirt.
Thanks.
It's a good logo. James, you did a great job making that logo.
Yeah.
So, we ran a quick poll as we record the day of recording this for a couple hours there. And I put out, in your ideal content-consuming world, how many Disney Plus Star Wars series would you want to see in a year? And it was a pretty good, balanced results. 4 was the top answer at 40%. 2 came in next at 32%. 3 at 23%, and 1 at 5%. So 4 and 2 were the top choices, and that's for want, not will. Obviously, we do will the Force, but just to get a pulse of our audience there, I like that. It would be so. I mean, I want it. You know, I would love a quarterly Star Wars show, right? But it's just so ambitious. Thinking of like what ILM would have to do. They'd have to stretch out their resources and their personnel.
Yeah, but once they make the sets once, they have them.
I know, but I'm talking about compositors and the digital effects folks. They're gonna have to branch those out, and you're gonna have to have more Hal Hickles and those types of people. I think I guess they probably can do that. But then you're bringing in a lot of new people to Star Wars to work on Star Wars, because right now, they can pretty much move from project to project as they're going. But I don't know, 4.
It's just 3 or more.
I know. I'll say, I'm going to say they will, just because of that call that they did. Chapek did seem really, really focused on this direct-to-consumer thing, and the next Star Wars movie's not coming out for 2 years or more, almost 3 years. So a lot of the focus can come onto these series. So yeah, I hope one of them is the Solo series. So yeah, I think they will.
John, you caught me. I was laughing so hard because the results of that poll, which are 4 was the highest, then 2 was the next highest, and then 3 was below 4 and 2. So theoretically, like 50% say 4, 50% say 2. No one says 3. So if they try to meet in the middle, nobody's happy.
Yeah.
Some people want 2, some people want 4. We'll do 3 a year, and everybody's like, no.
You better kill one of those shows or add another, or I'm out.
I'd rather they just get rid of one.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good. All right, John, that's it for Will of the Force this week. Take us into the discussion. What are we talking about?
Obi-Wan once thought as you do.
All right, so it's a look back. I don't know if we're going to do this as a series, but it's always fun to use the term look back. And we really started this when we did that look back conversation on The Force Awakens, which I feel like we could have talked a lot more about it, but people seem to really enjoy it. And it was kind of one of those things that jogged a lot of good feelings and good memories for when The Force Awakens was coming back, and that whole year leading up to it, the anticipation of, what can be, and wow, we're going to see Luke Skywalker again in a Star Wars movie, that sort of thing. And now I'm figuring let's take it back to further times, the 1983, or whenever you took in Return of the Jedi, and one of the most fun, deep, rich, adventurous, cool, exciting, iconic Star Wars scenes of all time, Jabba's palace, and of course the sail barge and everything to do with that Tatooine's opening segment of Return of the Jedi. So Jabba's palace did come back and made its return in the Book of Boba Fett post credits little scene, and it really got people missing that whole thing and reflecting back, and the whole documentary from the gallery had people talking about the old school ways that they built that set, how they brought it back to scale and all that stuff, and it really made me miss that story of it. And I did watch Return of the Jedi again recently, and I was like, man, that is just one of those things that you say, like, man, George Lucas, like, what a brain on that man to come up with this space slug as your main bad gangster in this desert planet, and he's the Don Corleone of this weird, wild little palace and crime syndicate. Only he could come up with something like that, and you gotta love it. So, to me, the Return of the Jedi suffers because this scene is so good. I don't think the movie gets better for me after this, because it's just such a fun adventure seeing the whole gang together.
Really?
Yeah, I really love the whole teamwork element of it. You have Leia doing her thing here, Han and Chewie here, Luke doing his thing, R2's involved, 3PO's in the mix, Lando, like the whole crew is there working together, and it's the last time they do that, and I really love that. So that's kind of where my launching part is here. The other thing I want to talk about with you guys a little bit, not so much the changes they made, but like, and I know a lot of people have thrown out their theories on this, but what was Luke's real plan? Because obviously what happened it wasn't his design to have all that chaotic stuff happen. So I wonder at what point does his plan go south? Is it when Leia gets captured with Han? Is that the moment that it veered off from his plan? So I want to get into that, but because it's probably one of your, if not your favorite scenes ever, Lacey, I'll toss this to you and your thoughts.
I actually want to hear someone
on,
else's, because I feel like I talk about this all the time.
Okay, so James, looking back on Jabba's palace, Return of the Jedi, what are your initial memories of it? Fond, anything like that? And just let's open it up.
So Jabba's the whole beginning thing with Tatooine, to me, in a weird way, like I Empire Strikes Back kind of does this too with Hoth, but for some reason that doesn't have the same effect on me as this one does. For whatever reason, Jabba's palace at the beginning of the movie feels like a Star Wars short film before the movie starts. That's how it's always felt to me.
Yeah.
It felt like there's this like mini movie of almost like an explanation of like if the movie just started, they would have been like, wait, how did they get Han back? It's like, well, we'll tell you that. The short film before the thing gets started, and then the movie like actually starts. Now, granted, it actually does start with the Emperor. The Emperor's coming here. That whole scene. That's how the movie like really starts. But obviously, everybody knows the beginning of Return of the Jedi is this whole Jabba's palace scene. But yeah, I think like if I was gonna sum it up in like one word, it always felt to me like a short film and a almost a totally separate story to what the last film provides, which is like a wrapping up of this and this and this. Like I don't think you think of Return of the Jedi like you're like, oh, in the first one the rebels are winning, and the second one the rebels are losing, and in the third one they go to Jabba's palace. Like, it's
right.
That's not how you describe the last movie, but it's definitely there, and it's a huge chunk of it. I said it was kind of similar to Hoth because it feels like they do go to Hoth and they have this big battle, and it's important to the movie, but it's also kind of not important. The movie could start with Han and them out in space and they're separated, and here's Luke, he's been on this planet on Dagobah, and it still would play out like that. But for some reason, Hoth does seem to like blend into the idea of Empire Strikes Back, whereas this one for me just always felt like it was like the first 20% of the movie is something completely separate.
That's interesting. I kind of like that idea. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Almost like a prologue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
That's
the shortest Star Wars movie. But if you include the prologue, it's pretty average length. No, just kidding.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. So
I have
Lacey,
thoughts
why
on
don't you
that
dive
Luke
in
thing
here?
though, but I want to. Yeah.
So I'm going to pull a James Baney and disagree with you, James. In that when I think of Return of the Jedi, I immediately think of Jabba's palace. I don't think of anything else, actually, because it Jabba's palace, and I say this all the time, is like my favorite, one of my, if not the favorite sequence of Star Wars. From the moment when the droids arrive to when Leia's there and then Luke's there to the point that they blow up the sail barge. It's just perfect Star Wars. And I believe I used it as one of the scenes that I would show someone if they never knew what Star Wars was. Like, it was one of the scenes that I chose because it, when I was little, just kind of solidified my love for Luke Skywalker and showed the potential of what a Jedi Knight could be. Because prior to that, you kind of see him struggling, and he doesn't really know things, and he's still kind of fumbling here and there, and then he loses in Empire Strikes Back, and then he comes back, and he's like in all black now, and he's choking people, and super, super confident. So it kind of just made me be like, oh, this is Star Wars. Like, this Luke Skywalker is the most badass hero I've ever seen, and really made me, with everything before it, but like this really kind of pushed me over the edge of like, Luke Skywalker is the best hero of all time. And it's just, everything about it is perfect because it's a crazy creature that's like so evil that like no matter how many plans they throw at him, he undoes them easily. And he's just got like, he's got a funny voice, and he's kind of disgusting, and he's got all these characters that hang out with him. And then I love the Rancor. The Rancor is one of the coolest creatures in Star Wars, and it's such like an exciting scene. And the Jabba sequence it's got everything. It's got like action, it's got mystery, it's got creatures, it's got humor. There's so much humor in the sequence too that I really love. Like, one of the parts that I always laugh at is when C-3PO and R2-D2 go into the droid area, and there's that one gonk droid that's being tortured, and he's kicking his feet, and he's like, no.
Yeah.
And even though that's absolutely horrible, for some reason, since I was 6, I've always found that so funny, and I still laugh about it to this day. And just like Han's humor, which I understand people have problems with Han in this movie and how he's kind of pushed aside and made the comic relief, but he shines in this role, in this sequence, because he like can't see, and he's like, you know, all coincidence and happenstance of how he gets out of it. And him and Chewie's relationship, it's one of my favorite parts with Chewie and Han. Like, the line about delusions of grandeur is just so funny. Like, I'm God for a little bit, and all these things are happening. It's literally perfect Star Wars. I don't want to hear, I know people always like make fun of this scene, and they're always like, oh, everyone loves this scene. It's because it's so good. And that's, like James said, it could be its own little movie adventure, like on a Saturday afternoon that they play as like, hey, coming up, we have a new short film for Star Wars, new episode, like a Forces of Destiny short or something like that, where they just play you from the beginning of the end of where they are. But
yeah, because it's about
it's so
like
good.
25 minutes or so, you know, it's a good chunk. And it's
Yeah.
like every aspect of it, from the set itself, just has this like, it triggers this thing in me to make me want to like explore every inch of that place. And I want to know what it smells like in Jabba's palace. I want to know, like, I want to go
said
venture.
That before. It's so gross.
It's, you know, I feel like it's like, you know, when you know how the Pirates of the Caribbean ride smells,
Or
and
Home
it's
Depot,
not.
yes.
Yeah, it's just like one of those things. Like, what does Jabba's palace smell like? Like, does he have fragrances, like, or is it just smell disgusting? Like, when people are walking in there, they're not like, ugh. So who knows?
Probably smells like basement.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe basement. But then you have, you know, all these characters walking around, all these different creatures. You have this musical act. Then you have this beast down underneath, and this like half naked dude who's like watching over it. There's just so many different things to keep your eyes on. And like, if you watch it again and divert your eyes from your normal direction, you'll see something you've never seen before.
Mhm.
Every time you watch this scene. And I love that part of it. Like, just the other day I was watching it, and maybe it's because it's like it was an add-in. I was like, they put a Doug into the scene, like one of the Sebulba creatures. I'm like, I don't know that I'd noticed that before. Or, like, you know, like you're saying about Han kind of being like Mr. Magoo, where like he happens to get out of it, but it's all by accident when he moves and hits Boba Fett with the
Where?
staff. Yeah. And it's just such a it's just such like a swashbuckling adventure, especially when they're out on the skiffs and Luke does the diving board thing, and it just every aspect of this just spits Star Wars at you, and it's a perfect package of Star Wars, and I don't know that we've quite seen a scene like it since, with that has everyone together and every aspect of it. John Williams music booming, the whole thing is just like, it's perfection. I absolutely love this scene.
It's so good.
I wonder if that was supposed to be like the Kessel Run, sort of.
Yeah, maybe.
Like,
I
the
remember
whole gang is there, and they're all kind of in different spots and stuff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I remember when I was little, that
Good point.
diving board thing with Luke. I attempted to do it at a family party, but it just turned into me like slowly getting down on my knees and like slowly.
You didn't do the turnaround and jump down?
No.
Are
The
you?
worst part
are
is
you?
my dad caught it on video, so it's like he's watching me on the diving board with the big video camera.
Does he still have it?
Yeah, I have it.
Patreon.
And I climb down and I turn around, and then there's one part where I have my arm and I'm hanging from it, and I'm like, Dad, help.
So if you guys want to see this video, just comment, show us the video, Lacey. And,
But anyway, I remember the thought in my head of being like, this is going to be so epic. I'm going to do exactly what Luke did. And then.
What do you guys think about the plan though? Like, James, do you have thoughts on it? Like Luke's master plan? You do? You've thought about this?
Yeah.
Because when you go into your little like thought process on these things, you go deep and you make these little maps and you make these little things. So very curious to see what you do.
I don't know that it's as complicated as it is, but I think the thing that really solidifies a sequence of thoughts for Luke is that when the first thing he does is he sends in the droids to play the message, and in the message he says, as a gift or as a token, I present these two droids, which immediately we know that Luke was never going to give away R2 and C-3PO. So that means that he very fully intended that Jabba was not going to accept this offer. And this was just part of the plan that they were to get in, and to get everybody in the positions that they needed to get into, because it was going to go south, and they probably were going to be captured, and they probably were going to have to fight their way out. So
I feel like where it goes awry,
I don't think there was any chance that the plan was to actually like negotiate and get him out as it was presented, and then it went south.
Do you think Leia and Han getting caught, like, that's where everything just kind of falls apart? And the question is, does Luke sense that? Or does he get in there and like, he's like, why is Leia? Oh my God, they caught Leia. Crap. Now what do I do? Or is it just kind of like, okay, well, I kind of sense this because I can connect with Leia through the Force now, and maybe I have an idea of what to do, and he kind of shifts his plan, things off the cuff as he's heading into Jabba's. Like, that part's interesting to me too, because Luke still seems pretty chill when he gets there, you know? And then he kind of gets screwed up though when he goes to grab the blaster and gets released down into the Rancor, because if he had known anything about the makeup of Jabba's palace, he probably wouldn't have been standing there. So I feel like Luke I almost want to say, and this is not to blaspheme Luke, I almost feel like Luke went in a little too cocky, and he almost got himself killed in the process.
Question: is Luke's plan the same as Leia, Lando, Chewbacca, their plan? Like, do we know that Leia was in communication with Luke, or did Luke say, "I'm gonna go get Han back," and separately his friends were also like, we're gonna get
Well,
Han back, and the
Because in
two plans
Forces of
just kind of
Destiny,
converge.
she gets the outfit without Luke. She gets it with Chewie.
The only thing I think that they did is because, and I know it's a year gap, but Luke says to Lando and Chewie, we'll meet at the rendezvous point on Tatooine. So they do meet up before they do all this. So there had to have been some sort of like, okay, you're going to do this, then you're going to go, and I'm going to come after, and hopefully by that point, maybe Leia has Han, and I'm going to go, wreck house while she gets him out of there or something.
I think they pulled the Lacey Gillerin and had like 7 plans. And they're like, plan 1.
So,
Just
which
go
is,
in and get him. Plan
which
2.
is maybe
okay.
better than Han Solo, who never has a plan. And he just goes, yeah.
And then
it's
R2 with the
Beckett's
lightsaber
plan.
was...
Improvise.
Oh, right. Yeah, R2 with the lightsaber. Because so Luke sends him in first with his lightsaber.
As I guarantee it was a backup. And he goes in there and grabs the blaster because he probably looked around and didn't see R2-D2.
Or do you think it's similar to like Han's? Remember Han in Solo, kind of he gets rid of his gun and puts it with the coaxium, so he goes in unarmed. Luke would be going in unarmed, saying like, "Look, I'm unarmed. I'm coming into your place with peace."
Yep.
And meanwhile, like R2 serving as like the coaxium.
Right, but then he looked around and R2 was on the sail barge. He wasn't in the room.
R2 was being a waiter.
Yeah. Like I think you're right, John. I think one thing that really throws it for like the plan is like I can't imagine the plan was that she was going to sneak in, let him out, and then get caught. Like, so I think they probably were just like, go for it, and if you get out, you get out. But if not, we were prepared for this. I already have R2 in place. But I don't want to make my appearance
and if they don't,
unless we have to.
Right, and if they did get out, Luke would still have to go back and get the droids anyway.
And also, of course, from the storytelling and fun aspect of the adventure, they could, Luke could have just went in, dominated, and gotten Han out of there. But it's not a good story that way. So that, you have to bend that aspect of it, because look at what he did in Mandalorian. He could have went in Jabba's and done that. He could have just absolutely torn up that whole place. Yeah, like he could have ran in full speed, sliced Jabba into 12 pieces. That would have been the end of it.
As cargo.
It is pretty funny because to me, I get it. He's a Jedi master, but he does look like he's struggling and against the Rancor.
Yeah.
I don't think he was prepared for that.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is like, it's pretty funny
though?
because like he goes
he turned back into the farm boy real quick when that happened.
He goes in there, he ends up falling for the trap, and he falls through. Okay, he doesn't have his lightsaber. Shoot, wasn't planning this. This would have been helpful if I'd had it, but okay, whatever. Let me see if I can get out of here. And he like kind of barely does it. He like throws the thing and it like hits the thing, and yeah, but he manages to get out of there. And then like a few minutes later, he's like, free us or die. Like you almost just died yourself.
Yeah, like Luke's like,
so confident.
This is exactly where I wanted to be. Okay, guys, this is it.
Yeah, I know. I've had this whole thing planned out. It's like, did you though? You didn't you barely made it out of that last fight. Yeah.
Like, do you think as Luke's walking that plank, he's like, do you think I can spring up if I flip around and grab this?
No, I think he was confident at that point that he knew what he was doing.
Like he's like, okay, that worked. Okay. Oh, thanks, R2.
No.
Like, all right.
You know how like sometimes you underestimate like momentum or your own body weight when you try to like grab onto something and you're like, my fingers can't hold my body weight. Like that would be pretty funny. He like jumps off and he goes, no, and just like he thought he could pull himself up, but he can't. Anyway, let's get back to celebrating this instead of just funny what if scenarios.
Yeah, I think the most startling point has to be when they're all getting caught, because then you have Chewie they kind of were putting him as a folly because they were like, I've come for the bounty on this Wookiee, so, and Jabba agrees to the price, so they were going in there knowing Chewie was going to get tossed into prison. I think
Right.
that was that plan. But then when Leia gets caught and strung up is when things really go awry. And then from there, because like you said, both of you, the plan was for the droids to get as being the gift, and that's also kind of like part of the ruse. So Leia's really, I think, the cog where she was saying like, I got to get you out of here. I think she was thinking like, I'm going to get Han out of here. And then Luke is like the failsafe to like, if things go wrong, he's going to come in. So maybe if Leia's plan works, she should have kept that whole Boosh thing on. That was the problem. Her taking it off and them kissing and stuff, wasting time.
Can't
They
make
screwed it
out
all
with
up.
them.
You can't make out. I know you want to. You can't do it. I think that screwed the whole thing up. If she stayed in the bounty hunter thing, maybe she doesn't waste as
They
much
were
time. She
hiding
gets out
right
of there.
though, behind a curtain, and they were like, "Wah, wah, wah."
Very quiet.
Yeah,
They're
they
like,
definitely were prepared.
yeah. And they were all back there. They even had Salacious Crumb shut up. That was impressive.
He's like the one at the sleepover that everyone's like, "Shut up, we're trying to go to sleep."
That'd be me.
I know that's you. I know that is you. The one
Well, I
that
kinda-
can't stop giggling.
I kind of was that. It was kind of like Celebration. I didn't shut up really that much.
Oh my god, you did not.
Well, James too, though. Me and James got a little, we got a little giddy. That was fun. No, so which part do you guys like better though? Do you like inside Jabba's palace, or do you like the skiff scenes over the Sarlacc?
Inside for me.
Yeah.
I think the sail
I'd
barge
guess, I
part
think
with the music, John
Lacey
Williams'
likes the
score is
outside,
just, just makes it like this like exciting adventure story where the hero wins, which is what I like.
Yeah, and I also like the
You know what
humor
I think I
between
like about
Lando
the
and
inside?
Han.
Go
What?
ahead, James.
What was that?
Oh, I'm just saying I love the humor
Oh, I
between
like-
Lando and Han.
Yeah. I think the reason I like the inside is the lighting.
Oh, all right. Interesting.
You guys.
What?
You
I
both
don't
talk
know.
over each
We're,
other
like,
for
off
2
or something.
minutes straight, and then
No.
it's just silent.
That's internet. That was internet. That wasn't us. I don't think talking over each other. But
Yeah.
Oh my god, sail barge, what up?
Yeah. I think the reason I like the inside is because they perfectly lit everything, because it feels I don't know, like dark and dank, and like there's these like crevices of light that somehow like come down, and I think from a film perspective it just looks really good. There's like, not that it looks bad in the other thing, but it's just direct sunlight. It's light everywhere. Everything's lit, so I think there's something really cool and mysterious about a lot of these characters inside.
oh, well, also like for first timers, like if kids are going to first watch Return of the Jedi or whatever, like after having watched the first two movies, your main hero character reveals are very theatric, very like WWE, like who's coming down the stairs next? Oh, this time, it's the droids first. Who's next? That's Chewie, and then that's
Even
Luke
the walk past
Skywalker.
Lando where he just kind of nods at the camera type thing. Yeah.
So
Even
that's the
Han,
that's
they actually
that's the-
say like Captain Solo, and it like
Yes.
pans over to him with a perfect light on him.
Yeah. I'll say this. The dumbest part, besides the Phantom Force kick, is Lando lowering his face mask just to show the audience who
That's
may
what I
not
just
realize.
said.
No, I know you just said that, but the deliberate use of it just so the audience makes sure that they know that that's Lando. There's no other reason for him to do that.
Tool,
Like, he can
bring the
breathe through it.
merchandise.
Yeah. Yeah. So he's just like, okay, audience, it's Billy D.
I like that.
I
like
hate
corny.
that.
I love corny. I will take it all day. I love corny. I love campy. I love
I
things
love-
that make me smile and feel good. And that makes
love-
me smile because I'm like, there he is.
I like corny and campy, but I don't like it when it's
There
like
he
the audience
is.
is dumb, so we need to make sure they know that that's him.
I don't think that's a dumb thing. I think that's just like a giving him his moment thing.
Maybe. I'm nitpicking, of course.
Of course you are. Shut up.
Yeah,
You shut up.
I mean, I don't
Tell
know.
me to shut up.
It always read to me like sunglasses, like when you like lower your
like,
sunglasses. Like,
Yeah.
could you not see in here?
Do I have up here?
Like, I don't know.
I love it. I love everything about that first scene. And I think with Return of the Jedi, too, a lot of it is those moments, those wrap up, like, hey, here's your favorite characters moments. And I think that's why I enjoy it so much. You leave it feeling great. That whole sequence when they explode, or the sail barge explodes and they get away on the skiffs, like, you feel great. You're like, oh man, I am in this now. Like, our heroes are together. What's going to happen next? And that's exciting to me. Although my favorite part is still R2-D2 bar is my favorite, where he C-3PO is like, what are you doing? He's like, beep, boop, boop. And he's like, I could see you're serving drinks.
Yeah. You almost got to envy R2-D2. And I know he's not human, so it's not fair. But his just chillness is just so...
I love it. He's so confident in Luke's plan.
And that's why him and C-3PO are such a good pairing, because they're obviously two polar opposites. And I do feel like the sequel trilogy missed that heavily.
Yeah, absolutely.
Big misfire there. But
There's
again,
so much
you're
we're
right.
not talking about, like Jedi Rocks, for instance.
I don't like it though.
I don't like it.
That's why I didn't want to talk about it. Yeah, and I think the big mistake was
adding that.
Yeah, the CG,
it's too much.
When he opens his mouth and you see his little uvula rattling, it looks like a Looney Tunes cartoon.
Yowza. That's his
it looks
name.
terrible. It looks absolutely horrible. I don't know why they did it.
Yowza.
You like that, James?
No, I'd rather it not be there, but I'm okay with
build up.
What? What do you mean the build up?
You were just like, no. After you had just said, what about this guy?
Yeah. Hey guys, do you want to go to Applebee's? Not
Sure.
really. Do you want to? No.
No.
Well, I mean, I bring it up because I like to think about all the scenes when we're taking a look back, the good and the bad. So I'm like, this is like probably the big controversial scene in this, and we haven't mentioned it. So I said there's so much stuff we're not talking about, we haven't discussed yet.
No,
and
I
me, like this big huge chunk, the CG thing. Family Guy always made fun of it because it was like cartoon, and then they like brought out the live action sock, Yeah. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And I was like, that's so weird, because what a actually good illustration. Like when you're in the mode of a 2D show, like there's this real life sock, and it's like it doesn't feel so off. That's how it feels. Yeah.
And then when they added the Applebee's, it was just too much. It took me right out.
The coolest part of that whole thing, though, for me is Boba Fett is cool during that sequence where the band's playing, because he's kind of like being smooth with the ladies.
He totally is.
I was gonna say I like certain aspects of it too. Like I don't like Cy Snoodles and the dude that Lacey knows his name, but I do like the different cut, and the music's not bad itself. And I like the backup dancers and stuff, like especially since some of those characters shows up in the prequels. So it's like, okay, there's some cool connectivity there. And you're right, like what they did with Boba, where he's talking to some of those additional characters and stuff. It's like, this is neat,
Yeah, and they brought back the same actress who played Ula for additional shots
of her reacting to the Rancor. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, so those
cool.
because I want to say it was 14 years later, and she was still in great shape because she was a professional dancer. And she's like, yeah, I'll come back. And she came back. So that the continuity there, I love. So there's some good and some bad for sure. Anytime with the special editions, you have to appreciate how they cleaned up everything. Not, when we talk about special editions, everyone always rags on, what we talk about with Hal, like the Jabba and the Han stepping on the tail thing, or, the over animated type of characters, or that, Ronto, which takes up literally the whole frame in A New Hope for zero reason, that sort of stuff. But then you get down to the cleanups and that sort of thing that makes it much crisper. But But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know there's other elements that we're not maybe firing on, but I mean, the creatures alone, I think, are interesting. You know, there's all sorts of species there that you can kind of take a look at and be like, oh wow, that's kind of cool. I think that puppet is the same puppet they used in the cantina for A New Hope, and they probably repurposed that and said, oh, let's bring that back here. And there's so many things like there's a Jawa fanning Jabba with a leaf to keep him cool. Nobody talks about that.
There's a snake hanging from the ceiling that has its tongue extended. And it's just out.
I think the thing that always sticks out to me is the
tongue from the snake.
BT-16 spider droids at the beginning.
Oh yeah.
That come in behind C-3PO and R2-D2. I remember when I was little, I hate bugs. I hate spiders. So when I saw that, I was like, ew, what is that? And because you don't really see them, they're like a little out of focus.
Well, it's just hearing C-3PO just absolutely freak out is everybody. Yeah, that's Marvin Home Alone right there. Just the absolute freak out. Yeah, and imagine being as slow as C-3PO and knowing that you'll probably get run down.
Those droids are so creepy. I would say that's the creepiest droid in Star Wars. Those things really bother me.
Yeah.
The creepiest droid?
They've got those like tubs with the brain in it. Like the ugh. Gross.
Yeah.
Not as much as Jabba's tongue though. That's even more gross. Where he like goes to like lick Leia's face.
I mean, that's how he shows affection. What do you want from the guy?
What do you guys think about Luke Skywalker's extended lightsaber? Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
What, they made the blade too long?
Yeah, they made the blade too long in like certain scenes, and they're like trying to dial it back, but there was actually like a story for a long time where like one of the buttons is like it can change the length of the saber. They were trying to like explain it away in Legends.
Well, what's funny is like the Power of the Force figures, there were errors made on one of the first series where it might have been the blue lightsabers of Luke, so they made them too long in the action figures too, and people were like, they did that on purpose for blah blah blah. But one thing we didn't talk about is Bib Fortuna, and kind of like him being the guy at the entrance point there,
the Wadawanga,
and being tricked by Luke, and Luke showing some aggression, choking out the Gamorrean guards, and I'm sure, as when we were kids, we were too young to have seen it the first time. But I know, just like reading back on like people's flashbacks or reviews on that thing, there was a lot of speculation on whether Luke was going to turn evil. And you see him show up, and in the trailers, he's wearing all black, of course. And then he shows up kind of looking very like evil and Vader-y with the hood up.
It never crossed my mind when I was little. Sure. I was just like, oh my God, he's so cool now because he's in black.
Yeah. But that first generation, though, was probably like a little worried about it because like here's Luke Skywalker and he's choking these people out. And they're like, that's not.
I just remember he has his hands like this. He's like, you will take me to Jabba now.
Yeah. He just goes like that. And that's Darth Vader choking people right there, and the last time you see Luke, it's his father telling him this is your destiny. And now you see Luke wearing all black, choking things out. And you're like, what is going on to this guy? True. So that element of it,
bad. I was like, this is the coolest thing ever.
I think for me, it was
everyone.
I think for me, it was one of those things, unfortunately, where you kind of know how things sort of play out because Star Wars had been so known at that point. Whereas though maybe a kid like we'll have to have him back on, like Mark Newbold, like when he probably saw Jedi in the theater, I'm sure there was some sort of trepidation and worry about what's going to happen with like Luke and that sort of thing. So I know we have audience members who are a little bit older than us that probably have those experiences seeing it in the theater, and maybe in the comments let us know if you did remember having those concerns as a kid, seeing Luke potentially acting kind of Vader-y at the beginning there. But then he like you were saying, James, he falls through that thing and all of a sudden it's like, I don't remember how to do anything. And he starts using chicken bones to try to kill this thing. I just love that because
a million ways he could have killed that Rancor, and he's still like stuck in his arms. It's like, what are you doing?
He goes back to being the kid on Tatooine, like not sure what he should be doing right now, and he's throwing a rock and he's smashing the finger and he's got the chicken bone and he's like,
and he loses his cloak. That always made me so sad.
yeah, true. And then his he gets unbuttoned and that stays that way for the rest of the movie. And then he gets shot in the hand. And I remember that being a big deal because they showed him getting shot in his mechanical hand. And he still says ow, so that shows you that he still has the pain sensors in it. But yeah, the whole thing, and we can talk about every young boy obviously loved Leia in that scene, and that's a whole nother animal for us. But just the whole scene in general is just absolutely fantastic, and it's just one of those things that you transport yourself. At least I feel like you transport yourself back to when you're a kid watching that, and it feels very like 80s, but in a good way. I don't know how to put that otherwise.
I thought she looked beautiful when I was little. I was like, she looks so beautiful with her long braid.
Yeah, she did. I mean,
and then when she
didn't?
kills Jabba, I was just so pumped. It's like one of the best scenes.
Did you ever see the outtakes of her like in the water in her bikini, just like splashing around, having fun? Like Carrie Fisher had a blast doing all that stuff, and yeah. Good times. So I know we're coming up on time. We probably do a lot more here. Any other small things you want to bring up that we didn't point out yet? Obviously, Salacious Crumb is still one of the funniest characters to me. Absolutely hilarious. And if they do make Solo 2 happen, you're going to see him back. So hopefully that happens. But any other final thoughts or final things that you want to bring up that maybe we didn't touch on or anything like that?
Boba Fett's chump death.
Not death.
Sorry.
Didn't
At the
die.
time, he was dead.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. That is the reason I was never a Boba Fett fan. I am now. I wasn't then. Just the way it burps too. Like, come on. Like,
yeah.
Really?
And it's a very bad wire effect because it's clearly man dangling, not flying with a jetpack. It's his legs flapping and he's doing this. Like, it was pretty rough.
It's funny, all of Boba Fett's like taking off techniques like obviously look like that, and that is in a way something that I don't like and do like about The Mandalorian is they
tried to do that
very clearly replicated that. And often when you see him landing and stuff, he still kind of looks like he's like kind of trying to gain his balance on the wire, but then like manages to put his feet down. Sometimes he's got the hero landing, but in that first episode with him and Cobb Vanth, they both look like they're kind of dangling and just kind of being thrown around a little bit.
True.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah. I like the fact that they like to preserve that hokiness of it. James, any final things you want to throw in there before we move on?
No, I mean, we obviously talked a lot about the creatures. One of the things I noticed just watching this was just that how many different, kinds of people are in the background. Just every time you're looking at a different frame, you're like, oh my gosh, just like all these creatures I never really paid attention to. And some of them have like the straightest, flattest plastic face. They're just like there.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're not even really doing anything, but it's just kind of fun. And it was funny that you brought up Bib Fortuna because I saw like an image the other day. It was like kind of a meme template, but it was like, when you just wanna wanga, and then it's him and it says me wanna wanga.
Nice.
When all you want to do is wanna wanga, and then it's just me wanna wanga.
And then he met his demise via one Boba Fett.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he got super chunky.
He
Fat,
became
fat of the land.
Yeah, became the new Jabba. He didn't have to work anymore. He was the guy.
Yeah, they didn't show us anything, man. He's like sitting in his empty palace, like
yeah.
And I'm like, what's going on?
Like,
here?
look, guys, we can only rebuild 10% of this. Let's just stay
yeah.
No,
let's just say he gave everybody the day off.
Right. Yeah. All right. So, let us know what you think. Anything fun memory-wise in terms of seeing it the first time. If you are one of the older original generation, we're seeing that movie in the theaters. Did you have those concerns about Luke? Were you worried about him being a little too dark-sidey? Favorite moments, favorite creatures, favorite scenes, quotes, stuff like that. Hopefully we covered most of the things you want us to cover. And then, of course, if you want Lacey to show the video of her on the diving board, put that in the comments. Show us the video.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But now, and if you like these types of look backs that we are sort of getting into and you want us to do more of these, hit us with suggestions, or also just let us know if you like the element of us doing it. We appreciate that. But now we are going to hear from you in a little segment we like to call, what, Lacey?
Resistance transmissions.
There it is.
All right, guys, time for resistance transmissions. So the way this works, this segment, is every week John puts up a crazy, wacky situation, and you guys give your answers on Twitter at RBATSWNN. So I don't know what the scenario is. I don't know what you wrote, and we see what happens, basically. So I'm kind of Luke Skywalker going into Jabba's palace, you know? I'm trying to investigate what's going on, but I'm not really sure it might go one way or the other.
Yes.
All right. So the scenario is an unidentified space eBay user has listed items for sale from Anakin and Padme's apartment after the fall of the Republic. What is their username that may give a hint as to who they are? First up, we have Jetta Rosewater at Jetta Rosewater. Hey, Jetta. And she said, Shivi Babes Wan 66.
I wonder who that is.
Next is Talking Bay 94 at Talking Bay 94. What's going on? And they said Dorme Bay.
Dormy.
That's a good one.
Yeah, Dormy Bay. Yeah.
That's funny. Next is Rebel Scum Texan at Rebel Scum Texan. What's going on? They said Bales Resale. Next is Matt Skywalker at Jedi_adopted, who said Toydarian_traitor.
That's one way to
Like that.
make your money back, Watto.
Next is Andrew Staley at Deuce_Staley. Hey Andrew, he said I am Senate.
I like that.
Next is Haas Aslam at Haas Aslam or Haas_Aslam. What's up, son? And he said, what is thy bidding?
I mean, that's so clever. I like that so
I like
much.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next is Mike Rumor at Drum Jedi. Hey, Mike. And Mike said, Big Bibble 69. What?
I just picture C.O. Bibble's old man face and coming up with that as his handle. Like, that is so funny.
Invasion.
And he's like, I'm going to put 69 because I'll get it, but no one else will. And it's like, no, we all get it.
Yeah.
And last but not least is Rachel at Ren Rach Therap. The rap? Rach. What's up, Rachel? And she said, Misa broke. Me too.
Misa broke. All right.
Guys, thank you so much for your answers. We really appreciate it. If you want to be on the show, make sure to follow us on Twitter at RBATSWNN. And then, hey, if you want to go even further than that, follow us on Instagram at The Resistance Broadcast. Back to you, John.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening and watching, being part of TRB. Make sure you do subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast app. I personally am a big Spotify fan myself. A lot of people have been joining us there, so we appreciate that. Share us with a friend. If you know someone who likes Star Wars, it's cooler and more enjoyable to get in with a podcast, talk about a podcast with a friend who also likes Star Wars. Click copy link, text it to your friend. Away you go. YouTube also. Subscribe to the channel. We are marching our way towards 7,000 subscribers and hopefully towards that big 10K mark at some point. But StarWarsNewsNet.com is where you got to go for all your Star Wars news, reviews, editorials, information, and more. And you can find me on Twitter at Johnny Hoey and writing and editing for StarWarsNewsNet.com and my movie podcast, Just Like the Movies, available most places. Lacey, what about you?
People can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Lacey Gillering. Recently, I joined my friend Stefan and his buddy Lee, and we talked about Caravan of Courage, an Ewok adventure. So definitely check that out on their channel, Cannibal Video. It was a fun time. I hadn't seen that video or that movie in a long time, so it was quite eye-opening.
I don't think I've ever watched it.
See, that's Star Wars at its prime right there.
Definitely. Just like quality Oscar winning Star Wars. Also today, sometime today, later this afternoon, I will be on my first match for the Schmodown, my first Star Wars match.
All right.
So definitely come check it out, cheer me on, and yeah, that's it.
Good luck. Go get them.
Thank you.
Yep.
James.
People can find me on Twitter and on Instagram at Myra Trunks.
Nice. And you guys, you and Kyle, been crushing those book videos, by the way. Those are helpful.
Yeah, coming up soon is going to be the second Thrawn book. So,
Oh, right.
you know,
Yeah. Or
I don't
third
have it-
Thrawn book? Is it second?
Second Thrawn book.
I can't keep track anymore.
Also the fifth Thrawn book, if you want to look at it that way.
Oh,
No,
I
they
got
did a
you.
trilogy and then they restarted it. So this is the
Yeah.
second of the
Right.
new setup. So, but yeah, so hopefully that'll be coming in soon and I can get started on that to start my next Star Wars adventure.
Nice. Right on. All right. So everyone, we are glad to be back. We took a week off last week, but we are pumped to be back. Make sure you head to the link for signups for the Cantina next Thursday. So it's around noon. Unless, you're listening to this later, get over there quick. Sign up now.
Whoa.
Do it. But we're going to have a
Late.
party for you next Thursday. But until then, enjoy your weekends, and we'll be back with you on Monday morning with another episode right here on the Resistance broadcast. We'll see you around, kids.